Doing this event, you can tell when one's going to be like right now. I'm excited for Calgary too. You know, when I went up just for the press conference up to Calgary, it was insane. So yeah, I kind of felt like this was going to be great. Plus, people have been telling me for years, wait till you come to Sweden, wait till you come to Sweden, and they weren't lying.
Well, I mean, it creates this thing that when you keep opening up these new markets and you go there and it's huge the first time and everybody loves it, and then the first thing they say is, when are you going to come back? And you only, I mean, even with more shows, the more markets you open up, the more that demand exists.
But you know what? The fact that that was asked today and the fact that you're asking that again is funny, because Lorenzo and I were literally talking about this before the show started tonight, and we're coming up with some ideas on how to believe it or not, do more events in that we can feed these markets that are dying for it. Because not only, I mean, if you look at the UK keeps terrorizing us, you know, Ireland's part of it, but going back to Ireland too, Scotland, guy here tonight was asking about Norway, Germany we haven't been back to. We're talking about, you know, every time we go to Australia it's insane. So there's a lot of markets that are starving. India, we're going to go to India. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. China, we were talking about tonight too. But we're working on figuring out how to feed all these markets so they don't have to wait so long.
What's the goal? Like more like fight night type level events? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. The bottom line is as we start kicking off all these Ultimate Fighters in these other countries, it's going to open up, you know, the floodgates for a lot more fighters, and guys are going to need a lot more experience. So we're working.
So in the day.
Yeah, we have talked about that. We've talked about doing 2 shows at the same time. We've talked about, you know, doing a lot of stuff. But one of the things you guys got to understand, the hardest part is the infrastructure. It's creating all this new talent, and it's not just fighters. It's commentators. It's, you know, buffer's position, it's cameramen, it's all the things that go along with putting on the event that we put on. It's a lot of work. We talked about that too. We talked about rankings. You know, just like boxing, guys ranked in other countries. So you end up with the guy who's ranked, you know, I don't know, you have the UFC champions, and then you got guys that are ranked in different countries. Absolutely makes sense. In the big picture, long term, it absolutely makes sense. Okay. Well, we'll see. I'll tell you what, we'll see how that whole thing plays out. And we've been around for a long time. I've heard this, the questions you just asked me, I've heard a million times about a million different leagues. And yeah, we'll see what happens with us in the Super Fight League.
Okay, in terms of timescale though, they're obviously going to be drawing from the...
We're on TV there now. We're on TV there now.
So I meant for the reality Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
They're obviously drawing from a very deep pool. You'll be drawing from the same pool. So I just want to know what your timescale was.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you a question. You can answer this question yourself, okay? The UFC is absolutely 100% coming to India. It is happening. We're on television there now, and we will be looking for fighters to do the Ultimate Fighter in India. So if anybody over in India, you know, that is considered talented or whatever, do they want to fight in the Super Fight League or do they want to fight in the UFC? That's up to them. You know, we'll be going over there and we'll be putting together the same show. Obviously, the show that these guys will be doing is a rip-off and a copy of what we do. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to do all right over in India. Did I answer your question?
Indeed.
Alrighty. Did I answer yours? No, I didn't. Yeah, it was a great fight, but I think the Little Nog fight would have been great too. You know, I think both guys were great opponents. We were in a very fortunate situation where when Little Nog got hurt, that Thiago stepped up and took this fight, and you know, it was one of those situations where you're like, almost like, oh damn, this might even be a better fight. It's one of those scenarios. So,
you know, after all, Gustafsson and Bader are currently the only 2 fighters in the UFC light heavyweight division on winning streaks. Is that the matchup?
I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. Could be though. You know, not a bad idea, but I'm pretty sure I think Bader has. If it hasn't been announced yet, Bader's got something coming up. Can't remember what it is though.
But do you see Brad Pickett as guy who could step in against either of them?
I love Brad Pickett's personality.
Yeah.
I love his style. I love the way the guy fights. I love the way the guy carries himself. I'm a Pickett fan, man. So you know, this fight has to happen at the end of the Ultimate Fighter, which I think is like 6 or 7 weeks away.
July, isn't it?
And then we'll see where we go from there.
What would the prospect be of having if he fought in a world title fight or a UFC world title
UK.
fight in the UK. Yeah.
We'll see, yeah. We'll see. Believe me when I tell you, we're hammering it over there, trying to figure out a new deal. And I think that when we do land the right deal over in the UK, everything's going to be golden over there. You know, it'll be perfect. It's a great market, and it's always the market that's made the most sense to me, other than the United States and Mexico when we first bought this thing. So it's been a long, hard battle, and we're still fighting it. Obviously, the deal that we have with Fox now helps, you know, and hopefully we can get something done over there.